Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mama Genius Hub podcast. And we have yet another amazing, wonderful guest, NatNat, in store for you, who is going to teach us to go within and really see what that's all about. And I'm just going to leave it at that for the moment. But I also want to say that today is, as we're recording this, is the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And I'm thankful to all the listeners out here and just all the encouragement to actually step into our uncomfortable part of it. And that is what we do as moms. And we're here to do it in a supported environment. And I'm so grateful that NatNat was sent to me today. We just met right now before this interview, but it's a perfect segue into the Mama Genius podcast today. And here we go. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we support moms with big dreams, from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle DeKaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. And we're back. So Natalie Bedard or NatNat, is an energy healing specialist and founder of Lift OneSelf since 2019. She has guided others on their path of self-discovery and emotional well-being through the Lift OneSelf podcast. With trauma-informed approach, NatNat empowers individuals to regulate their nervous system and transform anxiety into empowerment. That's what we're here, especially as moms. The anxiety level is just off the charts at times. Despite facing significant challenges, including a life-threatening illness and single parenthood, she inspires resilience and radical honesty in her clients. Her podcast features meditation, insightful discussions, and practical advice to help listeners navigate life's complexities. Tongue-tied. Welcome to stage, NatNat. I am so grateful to have you on today and to celebrate the 1-year anniversary with you. It just felt meant to be.
I am so excited to be here, and it is truly my honor to be a guest, to be in the resilience and the commitment of your intention to create a space for mothers to be empowered. So, and you are also gifting me with the most valuable thing you have in life, which is your time. And you are also trusting me with your audience. So I do not take this lightly. I am here to celebrate you, celebrate everything that you're doing. And I want to do my part in amplifying this conversation and this podcast so mothers can feel supported and seen in their journey. So thank you.
Oh, I love that so much. And that's what this is all about, is us find that community, find the people that we connect with. And again, that's where I think the resilience and the hard part comes in, is sometimes we get stuck by the people who might be around us that just aren't part of our story any longer, or just in a different capacity. And that change can be hard to accept or hard to step through. And so NatNat's going to give us some ideas on how to do it, but we're just going to start just like we always do. Tell us, what is your why behind doing what you want, why you're doing this?
It's to create a safe space within our bodies. Because once we create safety in our bodies, that's when we can start regulating our nervous system and understanding what's going on internally. Yet many of us don't even know what safety looks like, what it feels like. And so because I'm able to connect with people and co-regulate with their nervous system, that is my why. Why would I hold back that safety where other people can go within themselves? And that's where the change starts. Everybody wants the world to change, yet the change is within ourselves. So if I can hold that space for people to go within and begin that change, then that is the why.
I love that so much. And I was listening to something from Dr. Dispenza, and he was just talking about the change in our bodies. Like, we can get addicted to just the feelings and stuff, and negative feelings as well, because they're comfortable. There's something we're used to. And any kind of change that deviates from what you're used to, whether it's good or bad, takes you out of that comfort zone. And I love that you're here to show us a little bit of how to do that and to really dive into it, because it is so true, because we don't even realize it. We go into the unconscious and we do the routine, the automated thing. And unless we actually start to take notice of what we're doing, then we just keep doing the same things regardless of where we're at.
And it's even going more profound than the doing. It's, what are you feeling? Because the feeling, if you are, how I define the ego is the defense mechanisms of the nervous system. It's always protecting the vulnerability, the sensitivity. And if vulnerability is trying to come up and you haven't had a good relationship with vulnerability or the sensitivity, the defense mechanisms kick in as protection. So you go in the automation of habits to, suppress, offload, run away from. Where if you engage with what am I actually feeling? And a lot of times it's the fear. We don't even know how to articulate that we're feeling fear. We don't feel safe to actually acknowledge the fear because we have such a narration and an indoctrination that don't fear, yet our nervous system is built out of fear. So if you're not allowing an invitation of the nervous system, then how are you going to be able to access the behavior? Sure, you can go into automation and create these, I'm going to force myself to eat this way, I'm going to force myself, but eventually there's other things that pull you back and you're like, why isn't it working? Well, it's like you haven't integrated to connect the two, connect the spirituality with the humanness so that they coexist together. It's not one or the other, it's end in both. Use the power of the nervous system. Where many of us, you know, we chastise our biology. We don't even know how to support it.
I'm just taking that in right now. You've given us so much to unpack right now, but I just wanted to circle back to that connection because it's so true. And I love how you brought the word, I was saying the doing, and then you brought in the word feeling. And even before we got on this podcast, we're talking about the idea of feelings. And a lot of times we just suppress it because we don't want to feel it. So I love how you said before we got out, you were saying that we don't internalize those feelings. We know and we think about our feelings, but we're not actually letting our body feel them or sink back into our body, acknowledge what those are like. Just, I think as you were giving an example of fear, like if we don't know what fear feels like in our body, we, like you said, we won't even realize what it was. So how do we start to let her acknowledge what those are, start to realize what we can do to feel those?
Well, it's holding a safe space for yourself, and it requires honesty. Many of us don't even know how to be honest with ourselves because of the judgment, because of the messiness, because of the mass of perfection. And until you allow yourself to have a safe space for that honesty, that's when you're letting the body know, the defense mechanisms of the nervous system, okay, you can deactivate. The vulnerability can come up. I'm not going to cut or chastise myself off or pinch myself away from self. I'm going to engage in feeling this and allowing those, like Joe Dispenza says, dissolve those belief systems, start rewiring the nervous system to go into the discomfort that it's created as a narration, and that the discomfort that is considered comfort is actually toxic for you. But the toxicity is because most of us don't even know how to feel our authentic emotions. We don't, like rejection, um, abandonment. Those are really dense emotions to feel. Helplessness. Oh my gosh, how often, look at this week for the election last week. Sorry, it's already been like a week, but a week has passed by in the elections and that helplessness. Many people didn't even know how to engage or articulate that.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes up is usually apathy and shut down or anger. How do I
Yes.
hold the space for the helplessness and not reject reality? Because when you reject reality, you're suffering. You're not able to access the tools in the now. But these are all processes and we all do it. This isn't about perfection. It's better to understand so that when your nervous system is dysregulated, you can use the tools needed. And the most profound thing that I know that has worked in my own life is meditation. A lot of people think meditation is about quieting the mind. It's regulating the nervous system so you can go into the one self. And you need to be in your vulnerability to go into the one self.
I have to second that on meditation. Actually, I want to point out one more thing that you had said beforehand is I never thought about is perfection is a safety mechanism. And we want to go from when we learn something new, we want to skip all the messy beginnings and learning. I'm watching my daughter like how to play the recorder. I'm like, I never played an instrument, but like seeing her like try to finagle that. And then my other one's like, just stop playing. You're not good yet. Like, but we have to go through those stages of we have to, but we don't want to. And so that we just want to jump straight to perfectionism and that won't happen. And so what we're going to do is right after this break is NatNat's going to lead us through a little meditation just to show us how simple and short it can be, but how that can start guiding who we are. And again, I always say, let's call it that internal intuition to say, what do you need right now? We'll be back in a moment. Attention mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths, transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. And that's mamageniushub.com. And I'm going to turn it over to NatNat to lead us in her meditation.
So I call these mindful moments. Many times people, when they're listening to a podcast, they might be driving or they're needing their visual. So when I ask Michelle and myself to close our eyes, please don't, safety first, yet you're able to listen to the other prompts. So Michelle, I'm going to ask you to get comfortable in your seating. And if it's safe to do so, I'm going to ask you to gently close your eyes. And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to bring your awareness to watching the rhythm, allowing it to guide you into your body. There may be some sensations or feelings coming up, and that's okay. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. Be with your breath. Drop deeper into your body. Now some thoughts or to-do lists may have popped up in your mind, and that's okay. Gently bring your awareness to your breath, creating space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping even deeper into the body, allowing yourself to just be with the breath. Again, more thoughts may have popped up. That's okay. Bring your awareness to your breath, beginning again, creating even more space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping even deeper into the body, allowing yourself to just be with the breath. Continue staying with the breath. Now at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath.
I can feel the calm coming over. And I think what you always hear the saying, you need to slow down to go quicker. But none of us, but we struggle to do that again, because I think we disconnect from our bodies, we disconnect from our feelings. And these mindful moments, I love how you call them that, really help us get back into that moment, this present moment, not the past, not the anxiety about the future, but just here right now in this place. And the more that we do this, it actually, again, as I like to say, like getting into your genius is being able to do something. Time is irrelevant, because if you're doing something, that one thing may take you 15 minutes or it may take you 2 hours. When you start to slow down, more often than not, the things that were taking 2 hours now start to take you that 15-minute mark or 20-minute mark. They come shorter and easier. But we have to keep telling our brains over and over that we need to do it to make that happen and to really slow down. And so thank you for bringing these mindful moments to us today.
You're welcome. It's my honor. The impulsivity of the nervous system seeking safety takes us on a treadmill. And if we don't interrupt it by focusing on the breath to actually acknowledge what's going on internally, we don't do check-ins internally. We don't know how to validate our own experience. So this is what these mindful moments allow us to see, like, where are we? What are we feeling? What's going on? And actually validate our own experience.
I love how you use the word validate our own experience, because you were talking about how we can like ignore reality or see reality in a different way, but we need that part of that reality is the way we feel in this moment. and acknowledging it. So you may be angry, you may be sad, you may be depressed, you may be these things, but if you don't acknowledge it and just press it down, then you're adding more stress to your body.
A lot of conflict, because there's a lot of, trying to be in this story, but it's not matching up with what reality is. And then the body's trying to send you signals because the body's always communicating with you. Yeah, we don't want to hear it. And if we can start listening to it and understanding what it needs to be able to support us, then that's when, the magic starts happening. Yet that nervous system is always just trying to protect you. It's an inconvenience at times. It brings you into certain behaviors and passivity, especially mothers. My wonderful twins can tell you how I can become a neurotic mom at times. Yet it's, being able to take the accountability of acknowledging, like, this is my stuff, it's not yours. And they're very good at telling me, this is your stuff, mom, this has nothing to do with me. So I've empowered them in that for them to recognize, because as children, they're very narcissistic. It's very, everything's about me. So then we internalize, oh, well, I caused this issue and I want to remedy it because I want safety. When our parents are, in an emotion that's very dense, it doesn't feel very safe. So you want it to be light and open. So children are always trying to fix the thermostat of their parents' emotions. And it's to empower them to recognize that isn't your responsibility. It's mine as a parent, as a human being. But it's very seducing. Who doesn't want other people to please them and fawn over them and make life easier? But that's another discussion of empaths, of recognizing how much they manipulate, but they don't realize it because I'm always just a giver and I'm helping people, but not realizing, oh, it gives me a sense of worth, a sense of safety. And I'm not really asking myself, why am I doing this? What's the pull that's dragging me to do this? And then when you start doing that, as you said at the beginning, that's why people start to drop off and the capacity change, because rather than going on the outside, you are now going on the inside and creating that safety for yourself. And you're allowing yourself to be, and that you don't have to grasp on the people and the environments for that safety. You're safe within yourself wherever you are.
Wow, the light bulbs are just going off as you're talking, and I'm thinking about myself as a child and trying to be the empath and change the thermostat of my parents. And I'm sure many of our kids are trying to. We're trying, but I love how I have to ask, how old are your twins?
14. They'll be
14.
their birthday's in February.
So I love that you've empowered them to realize that. And I think that's what this is all about, is how do we empower the next generation as well to have these skills that, my gosh, I look at my 12-year-old and the skills that she has in being sure of herself and the conviction and everything. I'm like, I look at her and I go, I wish I was like you when I was your age. She's like, yeah, I know, mom.
Yeah, the envy and jealousy. And we have to acknowledge that, because it's our little inner child that it's like, I didn't get this. And that's not fair. And why? And you feel like you missed out. And if you're not really able to access that, it's that becomes that passive aggressive, and that it interferes in our behavior, and it's not intentional. That's why
Yeah.
it's so important to understand and allow the end in both a multitude of things, that we redefine what, like, oh, you're not supposed to be jealous, you're not supposed to be envious. And it's like, it's simply a feeling. It's giving you information that, wow, I'm envious that I didn't get something. Yet look at what it's looking on the flip side. Look what I've provided for my child. I'm in the intention that I actually served. But if you don't allow yourself to be in that, then you'll be in the, I didn't get this, and you'll be in the lack, not in the abundance of what you've created. Yeah, it's work. Yes, you missed out on something, yet you aren't actually missing out because you've recreated it.
Exactly. And I think it's always that perspective change, because we always have those narrative in our heads, and it's that story that we're telling us or telling about our childhood or stuff. But it's in, like, what did you learn from it? Who are you? Because you wouldn't be who you are today if you didn't have those experiences. It's a matter of what do you do with those experiences? How do you now change your own temperature, find your own comfort zone, and create that safe space for you to grow? And I'm going to say the best way to do it is finding other people who are doing what you want to do at the same time.
Mhm.
And so if you want to work on your exercise, your health journey, finding people who are in that spirit at that moment to support each other, because that's that accountability, that energy. I mean, just when Nat came in the room today, we're like, oh, where have you been my whole life, right? And when you find those people and you start putting that energy out, they just start coming to you. Like, I had no idea. We're just like, this was meant to be. The universe sent you to me. Thank you, universe. Let's be grateful, joyful in all of this. But as you start to put that energy out and that change and going into the uncomfortable, like, it's uncomfortable going into a room I'm about to record and say, who's this person I'm about to record a podcast with?
Exactly.
But the possibilities, if I didn't do it, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And I would have been sitting over here in my little shell going, I could have. So the question is, what do you want to do? What do you want to change, feel that you, and if you don't know the answer right now, that's okay. But posing the question and being open. Nat was talking about the curiosity of all. Let's open up that curiosity again.
And I think if you don't know the answer, the best answer is just better yourself. Because the more that you better yourself, the more that you recognize, you start reading your energy and what lightens you up and what creates density. So then you start to shift, because you recognize that I have to honor the energy within my biology. And so when you start to work on within yourself, all that stuff starts to rewire itself, because you understand, like, oh, it takes me too long to come out of that spiral when I'm with this certain person or I'm doing this certain thing. And why would I put myself through that? And the reason why you would put, because it's a habit that the nervous system has defined as comfort. And then you have to rewire to come out of that.
I love that. And it is an addiction, and it could be a good or a bad feeling that you are addicted to without even realizing it. So stopping that to ask the question, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself in this situation? I love that so much, because that is the key to all of this, is just to figure out why we're doing, and to remove the judgment from it. And just to say, be curious, like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I keep doing this? Because you can't break it. You can't do something different if you don't know what you're doing. You're already in auto mode.
And no, like you said, to remove the judgment, recognize if there's judgment, it's protection. So meet it with, what are you protecting? And most times the protection are those dense energies like embarrassment, rejection, abandonment, helplessness. So when you invite, okay, what are you protecting? And, oh, I got to feel these authentic emotions and I don't know, it's creating that space of practice. This isn't about perfection, it's about practice.
Daily practice. I love that. And just the things that you're doing daily. We'll be right back.
Do you ever feel like your own dreams are fading on you as you focus and keep everything together for your family? Or been buried under laundry and school runs and endless to-do lists? They're so deep, you don't even know what they are anymore. The Mama Genius Hub is here to help you uncover that part of you again. Maybe you felt that pull to start a passion project, return to a hobby you once loved, or pursue a career that lights you up, but you're so caught in everyone else's needs that you keep slipping through the cracks. In just 15 minutes a day, our mini courses will help you reconnect with those dreams while finding a new rhythm in motherhood's beautiful, messy life. And best of all, you'll be doing it with a community of moms who truly understand the juggle and the joy. The Mama Genius Hub is a community who've been there and are here to support and inspire each other every step of the way. It's time to rediscover your spark, live in your genius, and inspire your kids by showing them how to follow their own passions. Join the Mama Genius Hub today and start creating space for you again without guilt and doing it solo.
Come to www.connectingmamas.com for more details.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I wish we could talk forever. So we're going to jump into our final question, which is, what is a common misconception about motherhood that you think holds many moms back from truly stepping into their own genius?
Trusting themselves.
I just felt that one right now.
We're bombarded with the narration that we're not doing it well, we're not good enough, we're doing a disservice, and our children are being harmed all the time. So how can you trust yourself when the outside message is telling you you're doing it wrong? And then you're going to look for safety, and you don't know how to look for safety within yourself because the narration is telling you you're not doing it the right way.
I love that. So how do you think moms can shift that mindset then?
Start regulating their nervous system so they can be in their vulnerability, start listening to their intuition and trusting, that they are the mother that was placed with their child. And some, mothers, they have a very difficult curriculum with some very challenging neurodivergent children, some disruptors. So really finding that community to hold space so that you're not alone. And we're all walking each other home. So it's finding other people like-minded so that they can hold that safe space so that you can better trust yourself.
Oh, I love that so much. On that note, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you and if you have a free gift for the audience.
LiftOneSelf.com is my website. That's LiftOneSelf.com. On there, if they put /gift, they'll get a 10-minute meditation where they can go more deeper with me, more profoundly. On my website also, there's a whole bunch of meditations. They can also find me on the Lift OneSelf podcast, where my intention is to remove the stigma surrounding mental health. So I have conversations with people around the world with different modalities and experiences. And I'm also on social media, giving little nuggets of wisdom or sharing, these conversations, which I will be sharing our conversation on my podcast. On my social media, so that we can grow the network and we can grow the community. So I want to thank you for the most valuable thing you could give me was your time, Michelle. And I want to thank Paul for being in this conversation. And I want to thank all your listeners and your audience that make this possible and that support you to carry on. So happy 1-year anniversary.
I'm going to cry now. And actually, I don't know if all of you know, but Paul is my dad. And we were talking about that before because we had some people she has people who are experiencing pancreatic cancer right now. And my dad has passed away. And he's been on my heart so much recently, but he's given me so much. And I have to shout out to my mom as well on this anniversary as well, because she's really given me the tools and the finances to really keep this journey going. Because without her, none of this, the finances would have been a mess. And so my dad left her with the key to it, and she's unlocked it for me. And so the combination of them two is powerful. And I just want to shout out to both of them today and send them my heart and thank you. We're going to put you backstage for a moment so I'm going to take a deep breath, and we're going to give the takeaways from today, because my notes are just endless today, because NatNat gave us so much. And so let's put her backstage for just a moment. Oh, you want to say one thing?
One thing I just want to say to yourself and the listeners to please remember to be kind to yourself.
And she put that in her speaker notes as well. And I was like, I didn't know what it meant, but now I know. It's just in general, be kind to yourself as much as possible. And we'll be back in just a moment. Well, she'll be back in just a moment. What a powerful conversation of really getting into our feelings. That's the key to it, is that we've externalized, we talked about, we know. Again, the knowing is not the internalization. And that's what this is all about. How do we take that and internalize it? And so for us, some of those points today was, number one, create a safe space. We need to change and ask ourselves, what are we actually feeling in this moment? And being honest with ourselves, because if we're not honest, we can't really create that safe space. And we're not even asking to be honest with people around us as much as we're being to be honest with yourself and how you're feeling. Because number two, that's what really brings in the ego. It's one of our defense mechanisms, that it comes up when we're asking ourselves to be vulnerable or to get into our feelings. And it will protect us from it if we don't acknowledge them and ask it to give us that chance to be vulnerable, to understand what does fear actually feel like for us. Because if we're not sure what it is, then we can't do anything about it, right? So we need to really unlock that. And then, which leads us into still number three, is now holding that safe space after creating it, is now holding it and really being honest with ourselves and making sure that we can, I've taken so many notes, I'm trying to read them, dissolve those belief systems. And remember that perfection, I never really thought about it, is also a safety mechanism. So when we remove the idea that we have to be perfect at something, we get to go through those messy steps of, like my daughter just first learned to do the recorder. every time we start something new, we can't start from here and go straight to someone who's been doing it for 10 years. And a lot of times because we do that, we start to reject reality in terms of how we do it. So it's really about understanding and holding that safe space for ourselves to do that, which then leads to number 4 is what is one way to do that is really through meditation. We were both really sound in that in terms of really giving us a chance to slow down in who we are and to really acknowledge your feelings and to be part of that. And we have a 2-minute meditation on here that it shows you that it doesn't have to be a long moment in time to get back into your body. It's just acknowledging that you need it to, and to create that safe space for yourselves to be vulnerable to yourself and understanding who you are, which then leads us into number 5. And we were talking about children a lot in this as well. And the idea of the thermostat. And it made me think also as a kid of how I want to fix my parents' thermostat and make them feel it. And our kids might be doing the same thing for us. But now it's our job to help regulate and control our own thermostat, and then teach them to know when is it about them, or when, as NatNat's kids say to her, that's on you. That's about you. So the fact when we can teach our kids to do that, we start to create that safe space where we can have those open conversations to ourselves. And I want to end with this last part that I never really thought about, but judgment is a form of protection. So what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of that judgment? What is actually behind that judgment is what we want to look at. And so with that, I'm going to bring NatNat back for her final takeaway.
I just want to remind the listeners that this is warrior work. You know, motherhood is you're looking into a mirror of parts that you don't want to see about yourself because you've not been given the tools to actually integrate those parts. Like for myself, what I always say is the highest spiritual practice you could have is being a parent, because those children are going to show you places and spaces that have been dark for so long, yet you just have to remember to shine your light of awareness on it. So it's not splintering or evilizing things. It's recognizing that it's all integrated together. So find, your community and find those people that will allow you to create that safety within yourself and remind you that it's okay to validate your own experiences.
I'm just breathing that in. I love the word you say, shine your own light. And on that, I want to end with celebration, because we need to celebrate ourselves. And so I'm going to take a leap of faith here, because I struggle with this, but I'm celebrating the 1-year podcast anniversary of this recording. By the time it's actually a podcast, we'll be past 1 year, but November 12th of 2024 is the 1-year anniversary. And we are doing this. We're sitting together. We're doing motherhood together. We're learning with each other. We're supporting each other. We're not telling each other what to do. We're suggesting, we're asking you to reach into your own intuition and see what is going to work for you, your kids, and each one of your kids is different. What works for one might not work for the other. So really it's about honing into your own mother intuition, and we're here to help support that. And so we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much, NatNat, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams as you shine in your genius.